What's up, you guys? Ross Sapp here for the Wrestling Inc. podcast, May 9th edition. I am joined by Wrestling Inc. founder and the leader of the NW Bro, Vince Russo. How are you?
Very nice, bro. I like the NW Bro. I'm going to steal that from you. Say it was all my idea, like I do with everything from the Attitude Era.
You need a shirt from our friends at Pro Wrestling Tees, an NW Bro t-shirt.
I like that. Good.
Speaking of guys, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees. Wrestling Inc. does have a store. You can check out the shirt that I have on, as well as the one that Raj is sporting on the other end. Raj, show the folks. You
gotta check it out. ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestlingInc. Just launched.
Beautiful shirts. You guys have been asking for them, so check that out. Before we get into Monday Night Raw, guys, let's talk about these releases. We had several releases last Friday, and apparently more may be coming. The biggest name of all of them, King Barrett, as well as Damian Sandow. We'll start off with King Barrett, Wade Barrett. He had asked out of his deal and was granted an early release. Raj, were you surprised that this came to fruition after all we've heard about Barrett wanting out?
No. I mean, it was just more of a formality and letting him go a month early. So, it's clear that he was off TV. That they wrote him off, a few weeks ago. So, I mean, they had no plans to use him anyway. So it was just doing it a few weeks earlier.
Vince, do you think that there was a wasted potential in Wade Barrett? It seems like they had him over a couple of different times and just couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, I think there was. I mean, him and I don't know if they could afford it these days, but God, man, if I was TNA, I'd do everything I can to get Barrett and Sandow. I mean, if you book them right, they could really, really make a difference. I just don't know if TNA has the finances anymore.
Also, Damian Sandow, who really is an example of sometimes there's just nothing you can do as a talent. He did really everything that he could, got over as a babyface, got over as a heel. Raj, I mean, if we say surprising, but given how he's been used, I guess it really wasn't surprising.
With Ryback's rant that he had on Tumblr, where he was talking about the winners and losers being scripted, and I didn't agree with a lot of what he said, because in any business, the big stars are the ones that are going to get paid more. But he does have a point when it comes to booking and how someone could work their ass off and get to that level and get themselves over with the fans, and these writers decide to push them down the card and to where they're barely earning anything, from where they were before, from no fault of their own. And Damian Sandow is one of those guys. He got himself over. I mean, huge. I mean, he was a huge fan favorite. And then through no fault of his own, it was the WWE booking that just brought him down and kept bringing him down to where he became nothing. And now he's out of a job. So it's really sad to see. It's sad to see a guy just really busting his ass and getting, doing everything that you're supposed to do and being punished for it.
By the end, Vince, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but you could tell a difference. You could tell a difference in his physique. You could tell he kind of stopped tanning. You could tell that he knew there was nothing that he could do. Based on what you've seen out of Damian Sandow, do you think he got a fair shake?
No, Raj is absolutely correct, and I'm just telling you from a writing standpoint, when somebody earns the spot, they earn the spot. When they earn that spot, then you need to go balls to the wall with that person. And I had mixed emotions about Ryback's comments too, like Raj did, but one thing I got to say about Ryback, I think Ryback earned the spot. I think Ryback earned his spot every which way that Sandow did. The guy went out there, and you could tell he wanted it. He was hungry. He was trying to work with what they gave him, but there was just nothing there. And, like I said, man, when I was writing and a talent stepped up to the plate and earned that spot, and it happened quite a bit, then at that point the responsibility lies on the shoulders of the writer. They did everything they could do to get themselves over. Now it's in the hands of the writer, and both of those guys were failed miserably, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ryback got over big as a babyface. His pay-per-view match with CM Punk did great numbers at the box office, and there were many that thought that he got that opportunity too soon. I thought he did great as a bully heel just a few months later, I think. And then he had, they just slammed the brakes on him. Damian Sandow got over as a babyface. He got over as a heel. He got over as a tag team wrestler with Cody Rhodes. It just wasn't enough. As it pertains to money making outside the WWE, it's sad to say, but one of the top names on there is El Torito. He's going to make a lot of money on the independent circuit in Mexico. Raj, what do you see in the future for El Torito?
Who knows? I mean, there's just you're just so limited on the places you can work, and especially as a mini. So, I mean, Lucha Underground, I guess, is an option, but again, we don't know just what's going on with their TV situation, when a season 4 will tape, how far down the road that will be, and if it happens. So, it's not looking good for some of these guys.
Yeah, El Torito will make the most of his money in Mexico. Hornswoggle may go back to Lucha Underground, where he can feud with Chavo Guerrero forever, because that's obviously a big ticket feud, I'm sure, since it worked out so well in WWE. Also released Santino Marella, who had not been wrestling, no big surprise there. Zeb Coulter, somebody who proved that he was extremely valuable. Unfortunately, he was put in a storyline that there was no way that anybody could win in this storyline with Alberto Del Rio. Vince, I know you're friends with Zeb. Have you spoken to him, and do you know if he saw this coming?
No, I haven't spoken to him, but I do know, and he's already booked. I know Jeff. I know he's got a spot at Global Force. Jeff and Dutch go way, way, way back. Jeff loves Dutch. Dutch did a lot for him, and, Jeff has returned the favor over the years, so I think he's going to be just fine.
Also released Alex Riley. It's weird. He probably could have been around for quite a long time as a broadcaster, but he insisted on getting back in the ring. You think that was a bad move, Raj?
Yeah, absolutely. He tried, and it feels, you got to feel bad when someone's really doing their best to go out there and do what they love, but he just couldn't. He just wasn't that good in the ring, and I thought for a broadcaster he wasn't bad. He could have been groomed for that role, and who knows? He still might be able to get behind the announce desk again in the future, because there's a lack of solid commentating right now in the business. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me a little bit, just because he's been used on NXT a lot lately. But yeah.
Yeah, he was really, really hit and miss as a wrestler. He had some great lines, like saying that when Kevin Owens showed up in NXT, he thought they had hired a new plumber. I thought that was great. But then, you could kind of see in his tweets and his promos, he seemed like a legitimately bitter guy, and that didn't really endear him to fans very much. Also, when he gave up that broadcasting role and Corey Graves took over, and Corey Graves ended up being fantastic at it, that also didn't help him. Also, in what probably isn't a surprise, Cameron got fired. Raj, she made a post last week where she kind of complained about cyberbullying and things like that, said that not a day went by when she was harassed about pinning Naomi on her chest. I think it was Naomi. And the infamous line where Stone Cold Steve Austin asked her what her favorite match is, and she said Melina versus Alicia Fox. She then went on and she kind of took a jab at fans, and then she said today in a statement that that was meant to be the start of a heel character she was trying to.
Bro, that statement today was terrible.
Yeah.
I said the other day when I read her first statement, I said, good for her. Finally somebody is brave enough to be honest with the way they really feel. And I even, said publicly, I don't know, I've never met Cameron, I don't know Cameron, but I basically said to her, you don't know anybody, an apology for anything. You spoke your mind, that's how you felt, right or wrong, that's how you feel. And then I read that stuff today, and I'm like, come on, like, stop already. You know, I swear there is nothing worse to me that when you're let go from the WWE for all the wrong reasons, and you invested years of your life there. In a lot of these cases, they use these guys incorrectly. These guys were just spinning their wheels, and then there's the tweet of thanking everybody for the opportunity. What opportunity? Where was the opportunity? How can you thank somebody for an opportunity that's not? I can't stand that. So I got to be honest. I was so disappointed in her tweet today. Like, obviously, you said something in the heat of the moment, and you meant it. That's when the honesty comes out, in the heat of the moment. Now, I can understand if in the heat of the moment, you personally say something about somebody, a personal. I get that, and then you think about it, and I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I owe that person an apology. But when you're talking, about cyberbullying, there's no need to apologize for that. It happens to everybody, man.
Yeah, but if you're in wrestling, you got to have a thick skin, and Vince, you got to know that. You can't let stuff like that. You can't let fans trolling you get to you. And I think I think she never really progressed in the ring, but she did have a good persona, and I thought that could have been used somehow, like as a valet or a manager or something. But it just never went in that direction.
Yeah, the progression. I mean, she progressed like minimally in the ring, but not enough to where she should have been on the main roster. Absolutely not. And she went back to NXT for a little bit, but it never got to the level where she needed to get it. That statement she issued Thursday got a lot of attention because she brought up the cyberbullying thing, and then she kind of threw one back at fans, and some people didn't like that. Other people thought it was a great thing. But yeah, Vince, like I said, nobody has dealt with the type of criticism that you have. And you stay you're pretty serene on social media, to be honest with you.
Bro, I thought it was hysterical when Cameron was talking about, they're still commenting on her tough enough comment on what she did on 5 years ago. And I'm like, 5 years ago, honey, are you freaking kidding me? David Arquette happened 20 freaking years ago, and not a day goes by where I don't hear about David Arquette. 5 years, give me a freaking break. But bro, see, to me, it's like, when people talk about David Arquette and the pole matches and all that stuff, the fact that you're talking about something that happened 20 years ago and you still remember it, that's a compliment to me. That's what people don't understand. Let's face it, by Wednesday, we're all going to forget what happened on this episode of Raw. Every single one of us. So when people tweet me about stuff that happened 15, 20 years ago, that actually is a compliment that, holy crap, 20 years later, you're still talking about David Arquette? What does that tell you?
Now, Vince, you've worked for TNA, WWE, you've been in and out. Any advice you could give these people about, stepping forward, maybe saving their money, anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's the best thing that could happen to them. Let's face it. All these people that got released were not going anywhere. They absolutely were not going anywhere. So they really need to look at this as a new life. And life is different outside of the WWE. The fact that they were at the WWE, wherever they go, they're going to have a little bit of stroke. It's gonna kind of turn around for them. But they have to know how to massage that and use that. But they have to understand the fact that they were let go, they were not going anywhere. They were wasting their time. Now they have the opportunity to move on, and I think it's positive for every one of them.
I think one thing that you forgot to mention in helping them save money is that they can go to trendybutler.com, Vince.
Bro, I saw that coming a mile away. You're digressing, bro. I saw that coming on the other side of the Rocky Mountains, bro.
Well, I know some of these people have very expensive style tastes. Very expensive. And luckily for them, trendybutler.com can help. You go there, you create a custom style profile based on your own preferences, what colors and patterns and what kind of clothes you like. And Trendy Butler does the rest. They have a stylist custom pick your clothes that is catered to you. TrendyButler.com. Use the code Wrestling10, all caps. You get all kinds of great stuff. Vince desperately wants the $75 cashmere beanie that they sent me, and I'm not giving it to him.
Bro, I don't know if you've been following Twitter, but there's a demand out there for me to get this beanie, bro. Everybody is talking about it because they know I will proudly wear that beanie doing this show.
Oh, I will proudly wear it when it's not 85 degrees in my office. I will. But TrendyButler.com, use that code Wrestling10. You're not getting my beanie, Vince. It's a beautiful beanie.
Sean, you got to talk to him about getting Vince a beanie.
I will wear the beanie in 85-degree weather and not have an issue with it.
Maybe our good friend Diana.
Talk to Diana. Pull some strings.
Let's do it.
TrendyButler.com, coupon code Wrestling10, all caps.
Hey, Sean, do you know, Sean, I'm just telling you, your head's cut off a little bit, bro. You might want to tilt your camera up a little bit if you can.
Why do you think I need a beanie up here?
No, I'm just saying your head was cut off. That looks better.
You're trying to segue me here, and I'm not going to fall for it, Vince.
No, now you look much better.
Guys, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube page. We have all kinds of cool stuff going up. I have an interview with King Mo, former TNA talent, Bellator talent. Had an interview with Christopher Daniels of Ring of Honor. Ugh. All kinds of great stuff. Ugh.
Oy vey.
Oy. You know what? Maybe you should have interviewed him then, Vince.
I would love to interview him. He's scared to death to come on my show, bro. He says things about me publicly. I've invited him a million times. Bro, you have something to say? Come on my show. Talk to me face to face. He dodges me like the plague, bro.
I'll talk to him about it.
Is it something you could quickly summarize? Daniels?
Yeah. It's why every wrestler has heat with me, because they never got to the spot they thought they should have been in, and it had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with the writer. So Daniels falls nicely in that category, and I've invited him a million times. Bro, you have something to say to me. You want to debate me. You can come on my show, man to man, face to face. No, I have nothing to hide, brother. And he avoids me like the plague. It's much easier to talk about somebody behind their back than face to face.
Vince, jealousy comes with the territory when you become WCW champion. You know that as well as anybody.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Meanwhile, who do you think put him in the program with Sting? Me. Vince Russo put him in that program. Once he was in it, everybody else and their brother poo-pooed it, but Vince Russo was the one that put him in the program. Things like that he forgets.
I love these stories. I love these stories.
It's more interesting than tonight's Raw, that's for sure.
Indeed. We got some good reception from Monday Night Raw on our Twitter, which actually kind of surprised me, but it is subjective entertainment ultimately. Make sure you all give a thumbs up to this video on YouTube, by the way. Subscribe on iTunes, all that good stuff. We started out the show with Chris Jericho. He said that Dean Ambrose wasn't there tonight. He was interrupted by Big Cass, who got a very good pop from this crowd. Vince, how do you think Cass did on the microphone with Jericho solo?
Bro, listen. I thought we all came on here last week, Sean, and we said don't talk about a new era if it's the same old BS. We all said that. The first two segments of this show, they set up the new era very, very nicely. I give them credit for that. You know, putting Kaz in that first segment, I thought he held his own with Jericho. Jericho is a pro, bro. Jericho is a team guy. He's not going to bury Kaz. He's going to do everything he can to get the guy over. That's where Jericho is a good WWE hand. They followed that up with Corbin and a good win over Ziggler. So I felt that the first two segments of this show, they laid out and built the new era very nicely.
Raj, do you think Vince McMahon is foaming at the mouth seeing Cass hold his own?
Oh, definitely. You know, man, you could tell that Vince loves Big Cass, and you know, he's not just grooming him, he's throwing him up there, throwing him to the top. And
trial by fire.
Yeah, and it's Cass is good. He's he's good on the mic. He's not Enzo. He seemed a little hesitant at times on the mic tonight. But yeah, I like that you had an opening segment and a closing segment that didn't involve Stephanie or Roman Reigns. You know, it mixed it up a little bit.
Hey, can I?
But
Sean,
I gotta say,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Raj. I'm sorry.
I guess the new era tagline though just is already overdone to me. It just reminds me of Divas Revolution, where they just keep saying it and trying to pour it down your throat. And I think it'll probably get over about as much as Divas Revolution did.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, the more and more I'm watching this, I mean, we did the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood, 16 years ago. It's the same exact thing. Sean, I want to ask you something, and bro, I swear to you, I'm not kidding around, but this is where I think the WWE, assumes too much, okay? Bro, I've watched my share of NXT. I'm not a fan. I don't watch it every week. I don't. They didn't hook me. But, I fell in love with Kaz and Enzo when I saw them on there immediately. I loved them. I got to be honest with you, bro. That what is it? SAWFT?
Yes.
Bro, I have no idea what that means. And I know there are a lot of people like me who have they've got to explain that to us, bro. They can't assume the 3.5 million people are watching NXT when their subscription base is under 2 million people. So that means there's a good 1.5 to 2 million people that have never watched NXT and have no idea what that means. What does that mean?
Repeat after me, Vince. Soft.
See now, bro, I thought that's what it meant, but I wasn't sure. But, bro, they got to explain that to people, man.
They do. Well, kind of.
They did not. They have not on here.
Cass has completely lost his accent, too. So, I mean, that doesn't help when you don't have Enzo there with his accent to really accentuate it. So, yeah, it's just soft.
But they still got to explain that, bro. They can't assume that, because I'm thinking that's what it is, but I don't.
If you explain it in that, most of those things I would agree. But if you explain that, it's like telling a joke, then explaining the joke right after.
You can have them come back and say, "You can't call me soft," or
exactly,
something like that.
Soft. Let me spell it out for you, and then spell it. But they can't assume people know that. You can't assume anything, bro.
I absolutely.
I mean,
agree.
it's a little thing, Sean, but it's like tell us what it means.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, there are people who have no clue what the Bullet Club is. They have no clue why AJ Styles is friendly with these two guys, which we'll get into that later. Yeah. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, they got to do vignettes with him. That inset promo with him, it's terrible. Crappy. Yeah. It's terrible.
It served no purpose. It did absolutely nothing. It served zero purpose.
Made him look. Go ahead, Raj.
I used to love the inset promos back in the 80s, when you'd have like Jake the Snake or Rick Rude or those guys doing it. And I'm not sure if they sucked back then, but I was just young and I thought they were cool, but they just suck now. I cannot remember seeing a good inset promo, in years.
Yeah. Vince, did you ever watch the Conor McGregor stuff?
Not yet, man.
What is wrong with you?
Well, when I get the beanie, I'll watch the Conor McGregor stuff wearing my beanie, Sean. How's that, bro?
Come on. Yeah, right. Anyway, terrible inset promo, but I thought they had a good match.
Hey, Rod, you want to know something? When you were talking about the ones from the 80s, bro, they were so good because they were campy. But it was meant to be campy. The WWF was campy back then. Campy doesn't work in 2016, and it still comes across as campy.
Yeah, and they were their characters. They didn't sound like they were reading lines. So right. I mean, they were great back then.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin picked up the win. We talk a lot about how some signature moves should work as finishes. That deep six that Baron Corbin did on Dolph Ziggler. Not only should that have finished Dolph Ziggler, Dolph Ziggler shouldn't have been on TV for 2 weeks after that.
Oh, Sean, I'm with you 1,000%. And I just kept sitting here saying, I wish I could talk to the agent. What was the point of Ziggler kicking out of that? Do they think that actually helped Ziggler? That should have been over and done. And we talk about that a lot on here about finishing move. Bro, that should have put him out. You're right, Sean. I mean, that should have been it.
Raj, what do you think of that? That was a big move.
Yeah, I mean, when you're already getting, people kicking out of his big moves, and he's 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. I mean, everything that's wrong with WWE booking today, was in this match. Kicking out of his big moves. He's in a few weeks. He's already wrestled Ziggler a couple times. He's probably going to wrestle him a few more in the next couple weeks. And they've already traded victories. So no one's getting over in this feud.
Corbin beat Ziggler with the End of Days. Fantastic finish. I had someone saying that they hated it because it looked like Corbin was rock bottoming himself. Get a job, dude. Get a job, dude.
Kind of does when
he swings him from one end. He could swings him from one end to the other. No way, man. I love that move. Nobody should kick out of that. But they will.
You know why he? What did you say? He DDTs himself. What you say? What did you just say?
They said that he rock bottoms himself.
Bro, you know why he rock bottoms himself?
Why?
Because he does DDP yoga, bro. And he's able to rock bottom himself. Let me tell you about DDP yoga show. How about that, bro? Right there. Now we're even 1-1. You did not see that, bro. Yeah, look at that grin on your face. Eat that, bro. Thank you.
Wow. You know what? That was. Impressed. I'm gonna say that was the David Arquette winning the WCW title of segues. I didn't see it coming. Good. I didn't see it coming because it was no good, Vince. Come on.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Not your best work.
Go on with the show.
Oh man.
Whew. Ooh, I got you good there, bro.
You know what? The TNA conspiracy angle, that was not Vince. That was one of my favorite TNA storylines. That was not one of my favorite segues.
Oh, Raj liked it. That's all it matters.
That's pretty good. I got a kick out of that one.
Whoo! Shane McMahon backstage with Charlotte and Ric Flair. Charlotte was saying that she needs her father at ringside at Extreme Rules, who he's been banned. Shane bans Ric Flair from ringside during tonight's match with Paige. We'll go ahead and talk about that match. It was a fine match, and then it got messy. It got real messy. Natalya jumped up on the apron. She's a baby face. She's interfering because Charlotte's trying to cheat. Then Ric Flair comes out. He's not supposed to be at ringside. The one good thing about this mess, Shane McMahon did try to uphold his own law, so there's that. But ultimately, Paige gets her first pinfall victory on Raw singles in 6 months. And our women's champion loses. Raj, did this do anything for you?
And I mean, it just bugs me when a champion loses to someone who's not even in the title picture.
Well, this ain't the show for you, my friend.
I know. So no, I thought, with what they were the story they were trying to tell, it's fine, but except for the fact that they've done the same thing so many times. It's just formulaic stuff and champion getting beat, and it just. It doesn't make anyone look stronger at the end.
Vince, anything?
Well, yeah, I'm going to nitpick a little bit here, but that's my job, so I'm just going to point out what I saw. The story is Flair's not allowed ringside at the pay-per-view. Well, that should have been the story in the match, that she loses the match because her dad wasn't there in the spots that he's helped her before, and she was on her own. So I don't know what was the whole point of sending Rick out there. That was the story. She's going to lose without her father ringside helping her out and cheating and do whatever he does. And also, let's also point out, I think this was the first of about 10 roll-ups to follow.
Yeah.
Indeed.
One thing, Sean, I want to point out, because I don't know if you went over this yet or if we passed it up. I don't know. But I have a question for you because they've done it twice. They did it twice in this show, and I don't understand why. Why are they tipping their hand that Stephanie is going to screw Shane? I don't. Why tip the hand? And they didn't do it once. They did it twice, clearly. Once Shane sold it, and at the very end, Stephanie sold it. I don't understand why you would tip that hand.
I wish I had the answers for a lot of the things that they do, but
they're really rushing. Yeah, it looks like they're really trying to rush that feud, and it's fine with me because I'm already bored with it. So
I got you.
But one more thing, they did that backstage segment, and I guess they're calling themselves the Club now, which
they're gonna build a fort next week. That's what they're going to do. They're going to build a pillow fort next week, the Club. They're going to make a clubhouse. That is such a weird little... Why would they do that? Think we lost Raj. Vince.
Well, I would think, bro, that legally somebody else owns the rights to the Bullet Club. I mean, New Japan, do they own those rights? That's what I would think. That's the only thing I could think.
Yes, they do. They do own that, and they actually had a big Bullet Club angle last night at Ring of Honor. We're going to try to get Raj back here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they absolutely do. But do you think they should really?
No, I would get away from it. If you can't have the Bullet Club, you got to get away from it completely. That's my opinion.
That would be like, I mean, if Road Dogg and Billy Gunn joined, like, Ring of Honor or TNA, and they were called just like X or Generation or something like that. Raj, we have you back.
Yeah, my computer just froze out there for a second. But
I was asking you if you thought the club was going to build a pillow fort next week.
Yeah, no kidding. Vince, come on. You could have come up with something better than that, right?
Yeah, no, that's what we were just talking about. If they can't use Bullet Club, and obviously they can't, I would have just went on to something completely different.
Yeah.
Voodoo Ken Mafia, perhaps.
Maybe. It's better than a club, bro.
You know what the Voodoo Ken Mafia was better than, Vince?
Go ahead.
This R-Truth Gold Dust angle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Started in January. We're about to hit mid-May. They haven't tagged yet. We got R-Truth versus Fandango. I'll say this. I'll give it this much credit, and it's not a lot of credit. Fandango has looked the most motivated he has been in probably a year or two during this angle. He's done some kind of funny stuff, but Vince, don't you think this time would be better allocated to other acts that need it?
Oh, absolutely, bro. Bro, listen, I know the show's 3 hours. I understand all that, and we're not going to beat the dead horse, but to me, filler is unacceptable because nobody's watching this match. When it's filler, and, again, tonight they did it a couple of times, you're seeing what else is on, man. That's where you can really lose the audience, and the roster is deep enough, and the roster is rich enough where they can put something on that's worthy of watching. I'm not a fan of filler.
I like how you swerved everyone there, Sean, into thinking you were going into a segue. That's pretty good. Right.
Pretty proud of that. Now, Vince, not to call you out on your age, but you're the oldest person on this podcast, so I'm going to ask you this question. Miz Sami Zayn segment. JBL was comparing Miz to A-listers. He selected Gary Cooper.
Yeah, Gary Cooper.
Why do you think that is?
And Marlena Dietrich, right? That was the other one he mentioned, right?
I don't know who that is. I've heard Gary Cooper's name in a song by Taco from the 80s that was in a Halle Berry movie.
They're from before my time, Sean. So they're way back when.
I think that he selected Gary Cooper because he was born in 1901, and it was to drive home the fact that even a 115-year-old man could use ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. You happy with that one, Vince?
No, because I'm waiting for it every time now, bro. You're going to really have to come up with something to get me.
ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Go there, get a great deal on the Max Pack. Use the program that has helped wrestling greats like Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall. It helps current WWE superstars like John Cena, AJ Styles, Chris Jericho. Tons of big names use DDP Yoga, and ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. is the way to go. You can also check out the Resurrection of Jake the Snake. See how ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. helped out Jake the Snake Roberts. That film is available now on Vudu, Amazon, PlayStation Network, Google Play, iTunes, video on demand everywhere. It's one of my favorite wrestling documentaries. ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. has helped me out a lot personally. Highly encourage you guys to check that out. And, of course, tweet DDP and DDP Yoga. Let them know the Wrestling Inc. podcast sent you. Seriously, I don't know what the hell JBL's thinking. Gary Cooper. I looked it up. He's been dead for 55 years, Vince.
Yeah, no, I know Gary Cooper, bro. He's a very famous, he did Westerns. That's what he was known for. I mean, I know who he is, but he was before my time.
Indeed. Sami Zayn beat The Miz to get into the Intercontinental title match. I don't like The Miz losing. I don't like champions losing nonstop. I thought the match was fine. I do like that they at least addressed the fact that Sami Zayn did not belong in that match and had to get into it. Raj, your feelings on this segment and the Intercontinental title program?
I thought it was a weak way for him to get into that match. It was clear he was going to be in it from the beginning, and honestly, if you're looking at it as like a storyline that makes sense, he doesn't deserve to be in it. He's lost almost every match. He's been in the Intercontinental title match at the last 2 pay-per-views and lost. So I mean, or at the last I mean at WrestleMania, sorry. But so yeah, I mean, from a storyline perspective, it didn't make sense, but you have time to fill. And I thought this match was good. I liked the match. It was just predictable.
Vince, your feelings on your favorite cab driver?
Well, let me tell you the reason why the Sami Zayn and the Owens matches worked tonight. First of all, they were both so predictable. There was no reason to watch either one of them. You knew who was going to win. That's not their fault. They don't write the television. But both of them were on the were hardly on the defensive at all if you watch both of these matches. So there was very, very little selling involved. Man, I would have went the absolute other way with this. This is the difference. Like, there's no swerves. There's nothing different. Everything is so predictable. I would have made Sami Zayn lose again and turn him into the sore loser. I mean, that's what I would have done, because you would not expect that from this guy. But the fact that, like Rod said, we knew it was going to be a 4-way all along. It was so predictable. You knew he was going to go over. You knew Owens was going to go over. I just don't know why they are so afraid to do something outside of the box, man. It's just too predictable sometimes.
And I think they rely too much on NXT telling the story. They haven't really given the broad fans a reason yet to get behind Sami Zayn, except that he loses a lot. So, they just bring have these guys piggybacking off of their success in NXT, whereas, you gotta convince your new audience,
people.
Exactly, and give them a reason to care.
I had a viewer tell me that their mother watched the show and she wasn't really into the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens program until they aired that video clip that explained the history of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And why would she be? Why would she be if she didn't know why? I was watching, I watched a lot of UFC. I don't really care about a fight if it's 2 guys I don't know. But yesterday we saw Alistair Overeem versus Andrei Arlovsky. These 2 guys train together. They're in the same facility training to fight each other. I cared about that fight. I wanted to watch that fight. And the WWE has to do a little bit of a better job doing that as well. We had a debut on the show. Dana Brooke attacked Becky Lynch. She has resumed her team with Emma. They really need to showcase or show Dana Brooke and utilize a vignette with her, because I understand they want it to be a surprise attack. I mean, you're not going to get a big pop out of a Dana Brooke debut. Raj, there are a lot of polarizing feelings about Dana Brooke. Obviously, she's not the best worker in the world, but she's been in the Performance Center for 3 years. Do you think she was going to get much better there?
I just think if someone asked you before WrestleMania, like after WrestleMania, the first 5 NXT guys to get called to the main roster, would Baron Corbin, Dana Brooke, and Apollo Crews be on that list?
Or the Vaudevillains.
Or the Vaudevillains, yeah, exactly. And I think Apollo Crews is very talented. He just wasn't ready yet. I don't think he's developed his character. But yeah, I don't get these main roster call-ups. Dana Brooke before Bayley just makes no sense to me. I mean, if you want to add another woman to the roster, I mean, Bayley's been there forever. She's more than ready. And I know you can't bring all the people that are ready in NXT to the main roster, because then NXT has, all green talent. But gosh, it just boggles my mind that you don't bring up Bayley before Dana Brooke. But, Dana Brooke's, at least she gives Emma something, and at least, and then you got to figure, gosh, I'm drawing a blank right here. Like Sasha Banks fits in this feud, or maybe the attack was a way to get Bayley, to help out. Gosh, Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Who did they
Sasha
attack?
hasn't wrestled on TV in about a month, by the way.
Yeah, who did they attack again? Dana Brooke and Emma.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch. Sorry. But yeah, maybe it's a way to get Sasha Banks involved, or have Becky Lynch bring in Bayley. But I don't know. This one didn't make sense to me.
Here's another thing I wonder, Vince. Emma beat Becky Lynch last week. Why does she give a damn at this point?
Well, not only why she give a damn. What about when what's her name? Dana Brooks. First time I've ever seen this girl. I do not know who she is. But what about when she's got her and she's about to nail her in the face, and she says, "Oh, not now." Why not now? Like, does that make any sense to anybody? You got it in. The other one's holding it back. You're supposed to be a tough, badass wrestler. You have the opportunity to crush the girl, and not now. We'll do this later. I mean, come on, man, please. And that's another thing, man. You got these people. We want Sasha. We want Sasha. We want Sasha. So do we punish Sasha by not putting her on TV for a month? I don't get that, man. The fans are clearly telling you we want Sasha. So we're going to make a concerted effort not to give you Sasha. I don't get that, bro.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's just bad business.
You're putting on a show where you want the most people to watch, so you would think the more you give them what they want, at least to an extent, they would watch more.
Yep.
My fiance, when she watches these shows, she'll ask me questions like this. Well, why don't they do this? Or why don't they do that? She watches wrestling maybe once a month. If she can see this, Vince, why can't?
Well, come on. Let's be honest, Sean. I don't know how great a worker Emma is, and I don't really care. I can look at Emma for 10 seconds and say, this is not a star. She is not a star. If she's not a star, she should not be on television. You ever hear the term television star? Sasha Banks looks like a star. She carries herself like a star. She believes that she's a star. Why is she sitting on the sideline and somebody that is never going to get over is taking up television time? That's just bad judgment, whoever's making the calls at the WWE.
I wouldn't necessarily call Emma a star, but I think she's more than fine as like a supporting character.
Well, I agree with Vince. I thought they were building Emma up for Sasha, like to bring Sasha into that feud, so Sasha has something to do while Natalya is feuding with Charlotte. But it's not looking like that right now.
I'll tell you who has something to do. Bob Backlund, who is now under WWE contract for fifth. Yeah. Which is funny, because they did the New Generation thing, and Bob Backlund became the champion during that. So he's back. He is Darren Young's wrestling coach, life coach. They showed this on SmackDown. How you think this will go, Vince?
I'm ecstatic for two reasons. Me and Mr. Backlund are very good friends going back to the day. And number two, I have an interview in the can with Mr. Backlund that I can now play, and the WWE will be very, very, very pissed off that Mr. Backlund is on my show. So, that kind of brings us a little smirk to my face.
Don't get him fired, Vince.
I think I said the thing that I said, that I really hope that what Bob Backlund does is he wrestling coaches Darren Young into not doing apron back suplexes 2 minutes into opening matches on WWE superstars.
Yeah, they said wrestling a couple times during those segments. So maybe that's coming back.
Maybe. I would like to see Darren Young go crazy and crossface chicken wing a few people. I'd be okay with that. I'll tell you what I'm not okay with, guys. This Rusev Sin Cara match.
Oh my gosh!
I'm livid. You have a guy who.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Raj. I'd rather not scream into my mic.
Title, the champion. You should be building these championship matches. In every match, on this show, you have the champions or the challengers who you need to heat up getting beat, and the one guy.
The baby faces, they're screwing them.
Yeah.
This is a guy, Vince. Vince, this guy, I've said it a million times. A year ago, however the hell long ago, they screwed Rusev over. Completely could have sold me Brock Lesnar versus Rusev. No title involved, Not a damn championship piece of gold, scrap of iron, anywhere. You just put these two behemoths in a fight, watch them go. I'm buying that pay-per-view. Now he's losing to Sin Cara. There was some hope last week. Lasted a week. A week. Under no circumstances should Sin Cara be beating up Rusev or be beating Rusev. It doesn't build anything. It just makes Rusev look like a Poindexter. That's it.
Let me tell you what I think happened, Sean, because this should have totally went the other way, and Rusev shouldn't have just beat this guy. You want to put Sin Cara over, let Rusev destroy him and get disqualified because he won't stop killing him. Give him the victory that way. This guy should have been carted out in 3 or 4 pieces. I'll tell you exactly what it was, bro. This was their unpredictability spot on the show. Unfortunately, there were so many other good places to do something that was this was the wrong one. They should have took Sin Cara out of the building in 3 pieces to build Rusev, but my God, bro, again, this is where I wish I could sit down with Vince McMahon honestly and say, brother, I know you're 70, but what is going through your mind? Honestly, because I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when Rusev came out with Lana, he just instantly felt more important, felt bigger, and then that was just completely undone by the end of this match.
I just got a text, or I hope this is correct. This is kind of big news. Nakamura versus Cena and Lesnar versus Owen being advertised locally for a June 29th show in Honolulu for WWE. That's quite the live event lineup, Raj.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Indeed. The Colognes are debuting next week. We're not going to talk about it. The 6-man tag happened. Vince, I've really enjoyed this storyline. They had a bit of a standoff at the end of this after the club got DQ'd. And it came down to AJ Styles and Roman Reigns after the match. Roman Reigns is standing next to a chair in the ring. AJ Styles is on the apron threatening a forearm, but Roman Reigns is threatening, to punch, spear AJ, maybe pick up a chair. They had a bit of a standoff. AJ jumped over him, rolled out of the ring. They've really built up some friction. They've really built up some heat, and it's between two guys that aren't necessarily baby faces or heels. You've been a big proponent of, kind of the in-between thing. We've had a lot of people say, why don't they turn Reigns heel already? I don't know what more they want to happen with Reigns at this point. I mean, he's gotten rid of the goody two-shoe stuff at least.
Yeah, no, I think they're doing a great job with this. I said it last week, and I love the fact, bro, thank God, it's taken them a long time, but they're learning that it wasn't Reigns against the 3 guys.
Yeah,
because they would have done that a month ago. So I mean, they are definitely learning. I like it, bro. I think it's good. I like that. They're being true to their characters. It's not the white hat and the black hat. I think they're doing a good job with this story. I said it last week.
Yeah, Raj, we have a hot angle with Roman Reigns. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is the best stuff on the show. I think AJ's been acting a little heelish too. Like I thought he was a little heelish on this show, and yeah, I'm interested. I think I don't know if they will give AJ a win, but if you're having the champions lose all the other matches, this is the one case where I think it does make sense to get AJ some steam, is to have him get a pin over Roman Reigns. But yeah, I thought this was the best stuff on the show.
Couple of things. We had some people complaining that Roman Reigns finished somebody with a Superman punch. Well, I think you got to get moves like that over. I'm cool with that. But also, there was an elimination during the break. Raj, what did you think about that?
I hate when they do that. And it was Styles that got the elimination too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy you're trying to build as a challenger, that should happen live. But I guess I'm nitpicking. I didn't think too much of it, but I thought it was a good match.
Raj, a lot of people don't understand this. The writers, when you're writing the show and when you're laying out the segments, you write where the commercial breaks are. The commercial breaks do not come from the network. The network tells you you have to have X amount of commercial breaks in this show. That's what they tell you. As the writer, you figure out where the breaks go. That's why I go ballistic when they go to a commercial break in the middle of a match, because the writers are writing it that way. It's not a network thing. And when you watch Lucha Underground, bro, you can see so many times they have quick commercial breaks when they know they got a long 30-minute match at the end of the show, and they don't want to interrupt it with a commercial break. So I just want everybody to understand that, because a lot of people are confused. The writers control where those breaks are, and how you have a pinfall during a commercial break. I don't know how that works. I don't understand that.
Unenviable position for Kevin Owens and Zack Ryder. They were put in a match. If Ryder won, he got put in the Intercontinental title match per Shane McMahon, I believe. Crickets for this match. Kevin Owens won. Really not much here.
It was pretty much crickets from this point on.
Yeah.
You know, outside of Dean Ambrose coming out, this show felt every minute of 3 hours. I didn't think. I mean, actually, I thought a lot was bad as far as who won and who lost, but there was nothing overly corny or anything. But I just thought it just dragged forever, and I felt like that crowd by that point. Like I just was just watching because I was watching.
Somebody says the Superman punch is awful, Sean. No, it's not. He does it very well. New Day versus the Dudleys. We had the Vaudevillains interfere. Another kind of screw job ending. Another champion losing. The Dudley Boys won. I mean, there's not a lot we can say about this that we haven't said already, but Raj, how did you feel about this?
You know, knowing how WWE thinks, I almost wonder if this was punishment to Kofi Kingston for taking time off because he just had a baby.
Whew.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me, because anytime you see someone taking time off, you know, even if it's a week or whatever, when they're back on TV, they're losing. And Kofi was getting killed the whole match and then takes the pin. That was the only sense I could make out of it.
We had the main event, technically. I was pumped for this. I was excited for Big Cass versus Chris Jericho after what we saw. I was hoping, you know, Big Cass would get a victory and kick off this new era.
I think it's way too soon for Big Cass to be winning in the main event on Raw. I think fans will just turn on him so fast if they did that.
See, I think if he has Enzo at least somewhere near him, it won't be as bad. That's the thing. If he were just a guy, if he were Baron Corbin, I think that would definitely happen. But I think him being tied to Enzo kind of helps him a little bit.
It does, but that'll wear off. Every week he's not with Enzo, that's going to wear off a little. Yeah. And the more he's getting pushed and Enzo not being there, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to do him any favors. I think, you know, build him up, keep him upper mid card, but throwing him right in the main event spot, and you know, granted tonight they didn't do that. It was kind of a setup for Ambrose, but you just got to be careful.
I think almost everybody kind of gets it, though. They know that Cass is going to be the breakout guy, but you know they like him. He is a liked person. That's not easy, and he's over already. That's also not easy. Dean Ambrose attacked Jericho, had the light up jacket. He was tearing it up in the ring. Chris Jericho did a good job selling, crying about his $15,000 jacket. He ran to the ring, got beat up a little bit, ran into Big Cass, who tossed him around. Got beat up some more. Ambrose tore up the jacket. Vince, this main event, were you looking forward to the Cass Jericho match, and what did you think about the jacket destruction?
Bro, let me tell you how far we've fallen. I had a look in an Attitude Era show today that we are going to review tomorrow, for our show. The last scene was Val Venus buck naked from the back with a little Japanese guy with a sword, and it goes to black, and we painted the picture that he got his ween chopped off. Okay, bro, that's how the show ended. Scream, lights out, show over. Okay, now I'm watching Chris Jericho cry over a $15,000 jacket, calling Dean Ambrose an idiot. I swear to God, bro, like,
But if Ambrose said, "I choppy your jacket up,"
Bro,
would that make it better?
bro, this was so childish and so stupid and so ridiculous. I mean, bro, how first of all, how long has Jericho been with the WWE now? I know he was there when I was there. So that was
17 years.
17 years, bro. And he tells us, how he's a superstar, he's this, he's that. He's been telling us that for 17 years. A $15,000 jacket to him should be like a pack of gum to you and me. So the whole thing of him crying over, bro, it was written for a 10-year-old. And that had Vince McMahon's name written all over it. Bro, if you can't come up with something better than that, I mean, come on, man.
We went from concrete and Corvettes to jackets.
Come on, man, please. That was just so weak. Such a weak note to end the show. You got to do something better than that.
Vince, how would you rate this show on your scale of 10?
I'm going to be nice, bro. I'm going to give it a 6.
Our fans, our readers and viewers seem to enjoy it. Vince, before we boot you off and talk about UFC 198, tell our friends about the brand.
Yeah, I want to tell you about the brand. I'm on Podcast One now, Monday through Friday, every day. Big interview coming up on Thursday. The video will be up of the interview on the Realm Network. You can get the video by going to russosbrand.com. It'll be free on Friday on Podcast One. I've got Kevin Nash on for the next 2 weeks.
He's a great interview.
Well, bro, let me tell you why I think this interview is even better. Bro, I knew Kevin Nash's career like the back of my hand. We all have. I wanted to know, like, what made Kevin Nash Kevin Nash. So we really get into, him as a kid, the death of his father, him in the Army. I mean, some unbelievable stuff that really helped shape him into becoming the Kevin Nash that we know. So it's a real interesting interview. It'll be up Friday on Podcast One, and it'll be on video Thursday. Just go to russosbrand.com.
Some of the stuff with Kevin Nash and the Paparazzi Championship Series in TNA, some of the most underrated stuff in wrestling history. That was just consistent entertainment.
And a lot of that was, too, let me add, a lot of that was Mr. Dutch Mantel. He did a lot of that stuff.
It really helped those personalities shine that really needed it. Vince, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good rest of your show.
All right, take care, Vince.
Bye.
Also, guys, Vince has a store up on Pro Wrestling Tees as well. Check that out. Raj, before we get into some questions, there's a monster UFC card this Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, top to bottom, it's just superstars. I mean,
they loaded it.
It's loaded, but there's no real dream fight on there.
No,
but
it's a bunch of guys. Like it's very evenly matched based on where a lot of these guys are in their careers, and it's interesting because you have a veteran versus an up and comer. Some coming off of wins, some coming off of losses. But it's like no matter who wins these fights, it's going to be big for the winner. And you don't. It's interesting how that was booked. John Lineker and Rob Font. That's kind of under the radar. Little Nog versus Patrick Cummins. That would be a big win for Patrick Cummins. And Nog needs to stay relevant. Damian Maia versus Matt Brown. Matt Brown needs a big win. And a win for Damian Maia is going to help him out big time. But then we get to the main card, Raj. Mm-hmm. Cyborg.
Yeah.
She's in the UFC.
She's in the UFC, but again, like I said, is a big star, but Leslie Smith, who knows who that is. So it's bad if she loses. I don't think it does too much for her if she wins, other than it gains her exposure.
Yeah, Leslie Smith, best known as the woman whose ear exploded on television. Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Corey Anderson. Anderson is a very, very good up-and-comer in the light heavyweight division, a very thin light heavyweight division. 26 years old, coming off of 3 straight wins, won 5 out of 6. If he wins, this is, that's the biggest win of his career, even though Shogun's on a downslope of his career. Anderson Silva against a guy who has been compared to him virtually since he hit that spinning back kick, Uriah Hall. Raj, who do you have winning this one?
Oh, Anderson Silva. I mean, I just think if you had Anderson Silva against Shogun at light heavyweight and Uriah Hall against Corey Anderson, I think this card would just be so much bigger. I mean, you got the big names there. But yeah, I can't see Uriah Hall beating Anderson Silva unless he lands a lucky shot. Anderson should take this easy.
I have a bold prediction for later this year, Raj.
What's up?
Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen at 205 pounds later this year. Chael Sonnen will be free to fight.
Yeah, you could do that.
You could run that on a pay-per-view co-main or maybe a televised card. Because Chael Sonnen's going to get that money.
Yeah,
he's going to find a way.
I just don't know how much interest there is for Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen 3 when,
Yeah, but how much interest is there in Tony Ferguson versus, I don't even know who the hell he's fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know who he's fighting. That's main eventing. Big fight. Jacare Souza versus Vitor Belfort. By all means, unless Yoel Romero gets in the good graces of the UFC and they give him back that title shot, this will probably be a number one contender fight, Raj.
Yeah, and this is actually the fight I'm most looking forward to on this card, because it could really go either way. If Vitor comes out guns blazing, he could easily win this. But, Jacare is, he's legit, in line for the title. So, yeah, I mean, the winner of this, I would think would get the next title shot.
Oh yeah, this fight is going to be awesome. Where the Anderson Silva Uriah Hall fight, it could be awesome, or it could be two guys standing on opposite sides of the cage for 3 rounds. I don't know how Souza versus Belfort could be anything but fantastic. As you mentioned, just this matchup, beautiful matchmaking. Fabricio Verdum versus Stipe Miocic, UFC Heavyweight Championship. Who you got, Raj?
I'll go with Verdum, but the heavyweight title fights have been so unpredictable lately. I mean, for a while now, since Kane lost, really, it's just been all over the place. So I'll go with Verdum, but I'm not 100% confident with that pick by any means.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Verdum, but he's hit age 38, and that's the point. At some point you hit a wall.
Yeah. And
Stipe Miocic is ready, and whoever wins this fight, they've got Alistair Overeem waiting later this year, and he's been looking really good. Did you see that crane kick to a left hook that he destroyed Arlovsky with?
Yeah, he looked good, but he's also gotten knocked out a lot, before that fight. So, if he gets hit, he's going down.
Indeed. So I'm kind of leaning towards Verdum. Would not surprise me at all if Miocic wins. The more I think about it, the more I think Miocic will win that fight. We're going to get on to some questions. We're running a little long. By the way, Raj, do you know that next Monday is our 100th show?
I think I saw you tweet that out. I did not know that. So,
100 shows. Thank you, guys. We'll answer some, cool 100th show questions next week or something. But we have some questions tonight. Somebody says, with Lana and Rusev back together, do you think Rusev's career will finally get back on track? Doesn't look promising, Raj.
It's not up to him. I mean, he's doing everything he can. It's up to the writers and the bookers to push him properly. And if they did, I absolutely think he could. He's got the talent. He's funny as hell. If they let him go a little bit on the mic, I think he could be a superstar. So it's a little bit out of his hands with how they book him. I don't see it happening.
I agree. Somebody says, what stipulation would work best for the hottest feud at Extreme Rules? Mitch versus Jacket. We could do a Mitch and Jacket on a pole.
Yeah, buried alive, something like
that.
All right.
That was very good, very good.
Right.
Who's coming out of Extreme Rules with the IC title, Raj?
I gotta think Sami Zayn. Unless they're just really trying to bury this guy, I think he's got to win it. At this point.
Yeah, I would.
If it were up to me, I would keep it on The Miz and then book The Miz versus Cesaro, and then eventually have Cesaro win. But Miz keeps retaining it because of these multi-person matches. But with how they book Sami Zayn, I think they got to give him that win. What about you?
I like your idea of the Miz holding on to it because I think him and Maurice are good as an act.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little more mileage out of that. And Cesaro, he can kind of elevate the title a little bit because now the man makes the title, not the other way around. If
they were, sorry, go ahead.
But I would like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to kind of like do the fight forever thing where you can always go back to that feud. I don't know what direction any of these people go afterwards with or without the title.
Yeah, I think if Sammy doesn't win, I don't think he should have been put in this match. And you could even had it where he was booked and he said, look, I feel like I haven't deserved this opportunity yet. I'm withdrawing myself until, I feel like I've deserved it. Something where
that would endear him to people.
Yeah, exactly. He gets you behind him without him having to say he's an underdog or, anything like that. But otherwise, I just think with how he's been booked, it'll just hurt him to lose again.
Vince mentioned maybe making him a sore loser. That worked for a guy named Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, he did an amazing job with that.
Yeah. Somebody asks, what did you think about this past weekend's MMA events? What are the chances we'll get to see Tanya Evinger in the UFC? Tanya Evinger's an excellent fighter. I thought she should have been fighting Cyborg instead of Leslie Smith, honestly. Any thoughts on her, Raj?
No, I haven't watched too much of her stuff, so I'll leave that to you.
Dominant Invicta champion. Very good. Should be in the UFC without a doubt. Somebody says, Sean, you say that Hassan was your best interview you had, like at your highlight. Who would you like to interview to top that one? Right now, I can't think of anybody. I wanted that one really, really bad. I was talking to Raj about that for like months before it happened.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting story, and the whole thing where a storyline kind of made this guy and buried him without him really having much input into that. So.
And I thought it was really timely because of the Donald Trump stuff. And when I started to try to get that interview, I was like, Donald Trump is saying crazy stuff. I want to capitalize on this and talk to this guy. Fortunately for me, he doesn't stop saying crazy stuff, so it still worked a few months later. I'd like to do a follow-up with Mark Capani eventually, though. But we'll see. We got a lot of good interviews coming up, though. Somebody says, when is John Heidenreich coming back to the WWE? I don't know. When is Avatar coming back to the WWE? Probably about the same. No, I don't know. Al Snow played Avatar. And have you seen Al Snow lately?
Yeah. It's not natural. I mean, I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm just saying,
come on.
Most people aren't the most ripped in their life in their 50s. But
at 52,
good.
If TNA doesn't care, whatever.
Good for him. He looks in great shape.
Okay. Will Adam Rose or Connor get released later this month among the rumored releases? Raj, what do you think?
I don't like to speculate on guys,
Yeah.
But I'd rather. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, if I were Adam Rose, I wouldn't maybe put my medical information out there.
There's a lot of areas they can trim the fat. I mean, you can go up and down the roster. They've marginalized so many guys that there's a lot of guys that
they had Santino on the payroll.
Yeah,
and he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I was surprised by that release just because I didn't know he was somebody that could be released. I thought he was just an ambassador. So that was a weird one.
Indeed. Raj, anything to leave the fans with? Obviously, join us for the UFC 198 live viewing party, and myself and Rob McCarron will be here Wednesday night at 10.
I did want to ask you what you thought of all this Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather stuff.
Well, Floyd Mayweather admitted he started the rumors.
Yeah, and Conor's not letting him go quietly. I mean, he's posting a poster of him and Mayweather on his Instagram. There's no way the UFC is going to allow that to happen.
Unless they are cut in on the money.
Even then, why would they allow Conor to fight Floyd Mayweather in a boxing fight?
He'd get killed.
Draw, get his ass kicked. It just makes them look bad. If it was an MMA fight, they would do it in a heartbeat if Mayweather would agree to that. Or if they had an agreement where they did an MMA and then a boxing fight or something.
It's smart on Mayweather's part. I mean, really, who else in the world is going to get him more money than Conor McGregor at this point, even in boxing?
Yeah, no. And he says he's retired, so it makes sense for this to be a reason to come out.
Now, by all means, Mayweather would just destroy, outside of some fluke 0.5% chance that McGregor happens to land some killer blow. he would just work Mayweather, or he would work McGregor in a boxing match.
And
MMA
vice versa.
fight, yeah, MMA fight, no contest. It's McGregor. But here's the real question, Raj. Does Ronda Rousey fight the winner of McGregor Mayweather?
No kidding, right?
That's what I'm ready for. Guys, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I wasn't saying anything.
TrendyButler.com, code wrestling10, all caps, ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc, prowrestlingtees.com/wrestling inc. All kinds of good stuff for you folks. Join us again on Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Thank you guys again for joining us. Till next time, we are out.